Having good lighting, or even great lighting, is not just simply about being able to see the subject, in this case me. It's about creating depth, reducing glare and reflections, as well as reducing shadows. But how do you do this? So first, let me show you what makes good lighting. So here, this lighting is at least a decent example of good lighting. So you'll first see that my right side, your left, is pretty well lit, but my left side is a lot darker. This is part of what creates depth. The second thing you'll notice is that I myself am very well lit, but my background is not as well lit. My light is very focused on myself. Like if you look at this bookcase right here, you can't see it as well. It has a lot of shadows and you can kind of barely make out what's on it. You can see I've got a guitar, some cameras. You might not be able to see, but there are speakers up on the top shelf. This is part of what creates depth. I stand out from my background. The same would be said of this side, but right here, this is a wall. This blue, this is a wall. So it would taper out to darkness like this shelf does, but it doesn't because of the wall. This is also part of what's helping to create depth. And what the depth does is it allows you, the viewer, to focus on me and not be distracted by anything that's around me. So now that I've demonstrated at the very least decent lighting, how is this achieved? So let me first teach you the theory, and then I'll teach you some tricks on how you can kind of get around some of this to be able to have more of a budget. So what should technically be done is you will need at least 2, if not even 3 lights. Now, the first 2 lights are called the key and the fill light. The job of the key light is to be placed 45 degrees to one side, and this will be your brightest light. This is what the main source of light will be. Now, your fill light will be your other 45 degrees, and what the fill light does is because one light is going to create shadows on the opposite side, your fill light helps to fill in some of those shadows at a darker setting, and will also help to create an opposite lighting. They'll kind of conflict, they'll cross eventually, hopefully on my face if I've done my job correctly, and will help to cancel out the shadows created by the key light, my bad. Now the third light, and this is more of an optional light, is called the hair light or the backlight. And what its job is to do is to separate you even further from your background. And this light is placed behind you. Now, this isn't a required light because, like in my case, if I were to put a light back there, you would see it, and that's not the effect that I want. And what this light does is it's behind you and it points forward, and it outlines your hair or your jawline with light, and it creates more depth. Is its entire job. And you can see why this would be considered very optional. It's because these 2 lights should be doing most of that work for you anyway. So understanding theory is one thing, but here's my setup. Right here, I have my Aputure 120D. This is actually what you're seeing is only a part of it because it's that big. And in reality, this is just my diffusion. It comes quite far up and is very necessary to create a nice soft light. And over here is a white board, and what that does, it allows me to get away with only having 1 light, because that light will come to my face, but also the beam is wide enough that it will bounce off of that white board and back onto my face on the opposite side of the Aputure 120D. Now, of course, a lot of people can get away without having quite so much diffusion, but because of my glasses, I do require to have that to reduce the amount of shadows and glare caused by my frames and lenses. And the reason why I only have 1 light is very simply because if you could see over here, I have a wall, my desk is against the wall, and I also have a shelf here. So even if that shelf were not to exist, I would have to shift my desk from here over here about 3 feet. And then I would have no room to be able to maneuver to the other side of my desk where my setup is, my camera, my microphone, and my light. As you can see, you can easily get away with just 1 light, using a single light and a white board that helps to reflect the light off and back onto me. However, having glasses like me can cause a bit of an issue. And diffusion, as I've demonstrated, becomes a necessity, and you can't get away with just a single light. Now, if you're interested in seeing a video that talks specifically about how to light a person with glasses, I will put that link down below if you're interested in that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.